From WDWNT, the worldwide leader in Disney Parks news, this is ParksCenter. Hello there, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of ParksCenter. My name's Ben, and tonight we have Allison.
Good evening, everyone.
Kamila, welcome back. Oh,
hi.
Muted. Oh, there we go. We've got Rob.
What's up, guys? Happy Wednesday.
And Pete.
Sivako, and thank you for tuning in. Let's have a great show.
Agreed. And let's start tonight's great show off with some great news. We have finally gotten a confirmation that performers will be returning to Walt Disney World. The Equity Association, or Equity Union, has officially come to an understanding with Disney, and they will be returning. This was something that, they've been fighting for a while now. And I am so excited to hear that they finally reached an agreement on this. It had been so long.
It's better characterized as Disney reaches an agreement with the Equity Association, because Equity won here. They got the testing that they'd been asking for, and now the performers get to go back to work, which is what they wanted. And so I feel like this is the best possible scenario that in some part of Disney, unions actually win.
I'm also really excited that the resolution here was, like you said, that Equity essentially won the fight here. They wanted testing, they're getting testing. I'm so glad that this wasn't just we can't afford to do this strike any longer and kind of a fold. This is just, I'm so glad to see this.
I don't know, though. I mean, this sounds like a great story. And believe me, no one loves live entertainment more than I do. I'm very excited to have them back. But even in the story, we don't know what kind of testing, how often. Is it just going to be the actors? Because it also said in the article that maybe other people, it'll be available for others at Disney. I don't know what that means. This is a major undertaking. I don't know. I think there's so much more to this story we don't know about. I mean, again, I'm happy that it broke that we're going to get shows back. So if that is the big takeaway from this, sure, I'm very excited. But I'd love to know more information about how the union got its way, quote unquote. I'm sure there was a negotiation here. We've talked about this for weeks. How did this happen? What is the actual details? I would love to know more about specifics. So we'll see what happens. I don't know.
I do feel like Disney clearly has a model for how to do this, because right there on campus, they've got the NBA, and then also Major League Soccer was there. So they clearly have been able to observe, how you can keep employees in these types of environments safe. So hopefully they have a good outcome, similar to how they've had, for the NBA bubble.
Yeah, but keep in mind the NBA has millions and millions of dollars at their disposal. As a matter of fact, they're spending over $1.5 million a day per day while they're at Disney, and that includes testing. They have unlimited resources. Disney has never been known to spend unlimited resources on their actors or their equity. Look at their paychecks compared to NBA paychecks. So again, this testing is going to cost a lot of money. Does it fall on the actors? Does it fall with the union? Is there some kind of negotiation? Is it going to be once every 2 weeks? Is it going to be voluntary? There's so many questions I have when it comes to this testing, and I brought this up last week because this also is going to look bad for Disney. People are going to test positive. It is without a shadow of a doubt. And they haven't had any of those reports hit the news yet. So this is going to hurt them in one way or the other. We'll see what happens. I'm concerned. I want to know all the other details. I want the fine print on this story.
Yeah. While I don't have the full fine print for you,
man, you look sharp.
Thanks. While I don't have the full fine print on how it's going to work for cast members, I do want to just briefly mention that there is now a free COVID-19 testing site operating essentially on Disney property now that is open to both cast and the general public. So if this may or may not be related to some of the conditions that the Equity Union had, we don't have a confirmation of that. It's just my hypothesis that it's related. But the two stories breaking at about the same time kind of leads me
100% related. I was going to bring this up on this story. Like, this is 100% related. This is where they're going to have to go to get tested. That's why I was like, I want to know what it's going to be like, because if they're going to test with everybody else in the general public, most of those turnarounds are between 3 to 7 days. I just went and got tested again today. I've been trying to get tested at least once every 2 weeks since we're in a hotspot down here. So again, I'll have my results. I went through CVS, so like I'll have my results in 3 to 5 days. But these big places where, like Orange County Convention Center, you have to wait hours and hours. I'm not sure what it is as of late in the last week or so, but people were waiting 3, 4, 5, 6 hours instead of Flight of Passage to get corona tested. I'm curious to see what the Osceola one is like, especially if you're asking all these cast members, you can go there and get tested for free, and then inviting the public as well. What's their turnaround? How is this going to work? I have so many questions.
That's fair. Moving on to something that we've got a few less questions about what the entrance area to EPCOT is going to be looking like for the foreseeable future. And for that, we actually have to take a look back into the past. No, this is not Back to the Future, although we've got a reference to that coming up later. This is about the lucite pylons installed over at Epcot. This is a great throwback to how this used to look. Gosh, I forget. Was this opening day? I want to say this was opening day.
It was.
Like that's
not with the pylons.
It's such a cool idea.
So the rumor was of the original prism fountain was that they cracked one of the prisms putting the fountain in originally, like back in 1982 when the original fountain went in. And I used to love this fountain. I mean, I was a huge fan of it. I mean, it just was Epcot to me, like coming in and seeing it. And so I'm so excited about this. I'm excited about the logos coming back. That was a big deal with the original Epcot. So, they had at D23, they had all the logo pins, and I bought one of each. So, I mean, to me, this is really exciting to me. And I know it's just a fountain, but seeing it before this, when it was just flat on the top, almost looked like just a stripped down version of what it used to be. You always hope that whenever they put in something new, they're going to plus it out. And this was a matter of they just took those prisms out, and it just made it seem kind of muted. And so now with this back, I mean, I'm really excited to see it. When we were there for opening day on July 15th, walking in, it was neat to see the new courtyard area in front of Spaceship Earth without the Leave a Legacies, which I had some stuff on Leave a Legacy, so I'm kind of sad to see those go. But at the same time, they did look like giant tombstones, and it is nice to see this very greenery, kind of like cleaner version of like the future. And then to walk up to it with that centerpiece being that fountain is just going to be amazing. So I'm really excited that we got to see a teaser of it with it coming over the wall like that. And then silence.
I don't remember these because I guess I was too young, and I was a Disney fan late in life. We went once when I was like 7 or 8, and then I didn't go again until I was in my 20s. So I don't remember this too much, but maybe this is just a question for smart people, and I have never claimed to be smart. How do these not make things catch fire on the ground? I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of science, but they look like giant magnifying glasses, and the sun is blazing here in Florida. That's the only thing I'm curious about. I mean, it's worked in the past, so I'm sure it's fine. But I would just like, what would stop me from like, it looks like a giant set of glasses as a magnifying glass, like when you're a kid.
You know what's so funny about that, Pete, is like Mandalay Bay in Vegas. You've been to Vegas, right?
Of
I
course.
assume. I mean, come on. Right. You must
Come on, it's Vegas. I mean, they know we went for
Vegas. Exactly. Hey, what's up? That whole wall of windows in Mandalay Bay is all like reflective glass, and it actually they made a parking lot right across the street from it where that was unfortunately where like the shootings happened with the Country Music Festival back. But we used to have a festival there too, and those mirrors literally would melt the tar, like the pavement. I mean, like because it was so bright. So I definitely get what you're saying about that, like that would be a thing. But I think maybe it must have something to do with where Spaceship Earth sits or all these new trees that are going to be around there. I would hope they took that into account ahead of time. Let's hope we're not killing ants or something bigger with these things once they're in.
Or uncles. I mean, people always forget about uncles, but there are a lot of those at Disney as well.
No. The guy in the middle does all that stuff, not you. You're better. Like
Dad joke of the night.
Stay in your zone. Stay in your zone.
A good day to you, sir. Yes, excellent.
That
I'm gonna
was
shut
in
up for the
fact
next
the
story.
worst joke of the night.
I agree.
Before we move on, shout out to BC Fan in the chat for the $5 super chat saying Whiteside Axle 2020. Oh, I support that ticket. I like that. What I do not support though is the reduction of park hours. I'm kind of proud of my captions for this one, but this. Let's cut back hours without changing ticket prices at all. What a great idea! Like this is impressively cut to me. Like this, they cut EPCOT by 2 hours at night. Like, how are they gonna? Are they gonna do a nighttime show anymore? Like, who does a nighttime show starting? I mean. I guess while they've got no nighttime show, it makes sense to cut it back a little, but still, EPCOT is where all the dining is. You
That's
want to
exactly
keep
what
some
I
of
thought
that.
too, Ben. Is that the dining, right? Because, like, I mean, I guess like the blue light specials start at like 6 and 7 o'clock at night. I don't know, but 9 o'clock it was great because you can eat from 7 to 9. I think that to me is a shocker that they would close it down like that. I mean, they must have some numbers that say this is the right thing to do, but you're right. With all those sit down like table service restaurants, how could they just decide to take 2 hours out of the night? I can't imagine. Like, it doesn't seem to make any sense. And the days were already short as it was. I mean, 10-hour days and no change in ticket prices. I mean, that was all the same still, but they had 10-hour days and they were all offset by 1 hour. And I was okay with that because, COVID. I get it. So you got to, I don't know if it's because they're going to clean the parks or because they can't afford to hold the cast that late. I don't know. But it was one of those things where I thought the hours were as scaled back as they possibly could be. And then they cut into them deeper. And again, they're not going to be changing the ticket prices. Those are still going to be the same. So I don't know how they're justifying doing this. And especially, like you said, EPCOT, where you've got all of these, places you can have a nice meal and they're all going to be closed at 7.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that it's kind of suspicious that 7. I was thinking it was kind of suspicious that this came the week after they were already talking about which guests have the most value per day, who's spending the most money, and like they must have just been crunching all the numbers about what is profitable for them, and so then they're just like, okay, let's the hours at the front end and the back end of the day are the least profitable, so we're just going to eliminate those and assume that people who are staying on property anyway, which is a large number of the people who are getting into the parks, which is very sad for local annual pass holders, but that's the reality. Mm-hmm. They'll just go and have dinner at one of the open restaurants, still on Disney property, but at a resort. And so they'll still get the money, and then they don't have the operating costs of having the park open. But on a positive, I'm like, this is kind of like the operating hours of what Disneyland was like when it opened. And it's actually similar to the typical operating hours of Disneyland in Hong Kong. So it's almost a throwback to go back to these kinds of, we're going to close in the early evening and bye, see ya.
The other thing is, and maybe Pete could speak more to this, though, is like the idea that these days are so short. And if you are a person who lives locally and you could go and use your annual pass, now your workday ends at 5, you've lost the entire day now. And especially like the way that Universal has it, where they literally close at 5 o'clock, that almost seems like you're punishing annual pass holders. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. It totally affects.
No,
go ahead, you go. Go ahead.
No, I just was going to say, it also makes me really wonder about what their reservations look like, how many people, with kids going back to school and kind of summer coming to an end, it seems like, in anticipation of lower crowds because of that. And so it just makes me really wonder, how many people cancel their trip, how many people aren't planning on coming, and what are the fall, going into winter months going to look like in the parks.
I was going to make the same exact point, which is a great point to be made, is that school is back in session. So kids and teachers alike literally are in school until, 3 or 4. So the shortening of park hours, if Lauren wanted to go after she gets out of school, by the time she shower changes, that Rob makes a great point. You guys both make great points where that you are losing a giant chunk of the day. Like if you would have left and go there from like 4 to 9, you still get a nice 5-hour day. It's worth the trip, parking, and the whole nine. Now, by the time you get there, and walk into the park, but if you were to say park and get to the back of World Showcase, you kind of have to turn around and walk back. So it's very, it's wild. And Universal is also, and again, everyone knows how I feel with Disney compared to Universal, but I think they're doing the better thing. A one-day ticket right now at EPCOT, even though it hasn't been reduced, I believe for like a few bucks more, you can buy a ticket at Universal that lasts you from now until December for like $130 or $40, like something
Sounds
crazy like
right,
that.
yeah.
And I think EPCOT's like $130 for a one-day ticket, something crazy like that. Even though the local ticket is like $50 if you do the 4-day. But I'm just saying, if you were to look at just black and white on the board when you walk in, it's wild to think you could have one day at EPCOT for these short hours and no attractions, basically, and a very abbreviated World Showcase compared to you can have Universal from now until Thanksgiving. It's kind of crazy.
What else is kind of crazy is we might have just lost Reflections, a Disney Lakeside Lodge. It was removed without a lot of fanfare from the D23 Expo announcements page. We've been hearing some rumors circulating, somewhat unsubstantiated up until this happened, that they might not be continuing forward with this, or at least delaying it. Do we think that they're going to actually fully cancel an announced resort and just kind of hope that nobody asks any questions?
They already done so much work.
first
If you go to
time.
Wilderness, if you go to Fort Wilderness, it's a giant piles of sand and dirt, and it's just a disaster over there. It looks like you started a construction project and you didn't finish it. So, granted, they put up nice green walls along the fencing, but there's a giant project that was begun. Can they delay this and just let it sit? Sure. They already said they were kind of going to do this. You have to prioritize. One, you just found out you're redoing Splash Mountain out of nowhere. Two, you have to finish Guardians, which is sitting almost done. You have the Play Pavilion, which is not even done yet. You have Ratatouille, which is not even done yet. You have Tron, which is not even done yet. You have a lot of things that have to open in the next 12 months. And this hotel was not a priority, I don't think, compared to all those things, which you announced and people are excited about. I don't think anyone's going to lose sleep over not going to Reflections, a lakeside resort, to go fall asleep and maybe never wake up again. No one cares about this place as much as the attractions. So yeah, let it sit. I don't know if it'll never. I think never happening is extreme because they already did all the groundwork. They have the plans, the engineering, the architecture, all this work, the Imagineering that is already done. So they're gonna have to do something too because it's just now it's sitting. Like it looks like a war zone over there. So I don't think it's gonna happen right away, but I'm sure it'll come back around.
Gosh.
Yeah,
Hey,
you know
you're
what?
right, they better do something.
I loved, we kind of had the leaked video, plans for the thing ahead of time, and I really like the way the thing looks. I think it looks really like a neat project, so I hope they don't get rid of it completely. I think the only complaint we had was that the restaurant was going to be themed for Tiana, but wasn't going to be Tiana's place, which was so bizarre. But the rest of it looked very cool, and I know Ben, you liked the idea of River Country being there, and was sad that this was on the bones of River Country. But River Country wasn't going to come back, and so I think to put something there made a lot of sense. And they've got all the designs, like Pete said, they've already done all the work. It would be nice to see it come back and and them actually do it at some point. But again, great points that they've got these projects they have to finish. This was one that they could kind of take a pause. It's not going to hurt anybody. They come back when they've got a little bit more money. But I think because it has some DVC related to it, that makes me think more than anything that it's going to happen. Because they do, when it's not a horrible economy, they do make a good piece of scratch when they do some DVC resorts. But they had plans for 2 hotels at Disneyland Resort that never happened. The one on the East Gate, and then they moved it to the other side, or vice versa. There were 2 different hotel plans that didn't happen. So it's not unique for that not to happen. It was just a different reason that it didn't happen because of the all the politics that were happening in Anaheim. So I'd love to see a layout of all of the hotels from the Mediterranean to the Venetian, all the things that they've ever thought about doing, and hope that sometime they can do that anyway. But I also still would argue that there are too many hotel rooms in Disney World for the amount of rooms that they have. And, I mean, not rooms, the amount of room they have for the parks. And I still think they need a fifth gate before they build too many more hotels. Probably never happen, but I think they need to do it.
That's fair. I support it. But unfortunately, there has been a large demand that Disney has acquiesced to for annual pass holders to cancel their annual passes because of the massive closure that we had this year. However, there have been problems with that. So the deadline for this was last night. The gotta say this right, VI pass holder support system had a 2-hour wait, and the phone queue caps at 2 hours, so they don't let you get in the queue at that point. They had to extend their hours through midnight in order to deal with all of the demand. And this morning, they are still we had to keep using the same image. They are still taking phone calls about this for folks in, quote, unique circumstances, which I take to mean folks who tried to call last night and couldn't. So, Kamila, I think you mentioned that you called them about this?
Yeah, well, so I called Disney not this weekend or not yesterday, because I knew that was going to be tough. But last Thursday, I called Disney to do two things. One was to cancel my November reservations, and then two was to cancel my monthly annual pass. What was interesting is the line to talk to someone about reservations in general. No wait. I mean, I spoke to someone immediately as soon as I got through, choosing what number or whatever. No wait for that. The line, and then I did my business there. Then after, the line to talk to someone about my annual pass, which was interesting. So they had different lines for paid in full and monthly. I'm a paid in full. The paid in full line was shorter, which kind of surprised me, because I would have thought, if I hear monthly, that makes me think people who are local to Florida, they don't have as much trouble trying to get down there. So to me, that makes more sense maybe to keep it. But I would think it was out-of-staters who were going to be the ones calling and canceling. But my line was about 65 minutes. The lady I was working with, she actually offered me a call back. So that was actually really nice, because we just hung up and I just waited for Disney to call me back. She told me it was a 65-minute wait. I think it actually ended up being, it was definitely closer to an hour and a half, but it was fine because I was just waiting on a phone call. I was just glad it actually came. And then once I got someone on the phone, it was fairly easy to actually cancel it, because I had heard some people say Disney was giving them the runaround, but I didn't have that at all. It was just, oh, you want to cancel? And, it's probably over in 10 minutes. And it took that long because I have a Premier Pass, and those are just more rare. And most of the time when I talk to someone about having a Premier Pass, they don't even know what it is, which is just a pass that allows you to go to Disney World and Disneyland. So she had to check with her bosses about how to do it, and so that's what took the longest. But super easy. But it kind of surprised me that the monthlies had such a longer line, because I would have guessed it would be the opposite.
Yeah,
Premier Pass, man, we don't make one of those. Sorry.
Oh, that's kind of horrible. Jeez.
I had one of those for a brief period of time. It was very confusing.
It was like, do you want to cancel and get a refund, or do you want to keep your annual pass? And I was like, nah, I'll just keep the annual pass. So I just clicked that, and then it was like, you have claimed your preference. Thanks for sticking around. That was it.
Here's the thing I'm worried about is that I had a Disneyland pass for the first time ever, an annual pass, and it expired in July. And I go to the Disneyland app, and it's not there anymore. So I'm definitely afraid that I missed something somewhere along the way. And I don't get home, buddy. Apparently, I mean, it's not open, right? So shouldn't they give me my 5 months of pass? I hope. I don't know. I got my magnet. That's really all that matters, right?
There you go.
The Tinkerbell one?
No. The AP pass holder magnet for Disneyland. When I signed up, they sent me a magnet. Okay. So as long as I got into the park once and got my magnet, totally worth it.
Pays itself off.
Well, we had a temporary electromagnet in Galaxy's Edge earlier this week.
No.
It was almost shocking how good it was. That was.
Oh! Da, 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 da,
Oh, that's. No, we already did that. We're not doing it again.
Sorry.
All right. So there was a massive lightning strike near Galaxy's Edge and in Walt Disney World, which resulted in Rise of the Resistance not operating the next day. Like, I'm sorry, I find this hilarious that a lightning bolt managed to put this ride out of commission. I know it's delicate, but come on. How do we not have like lightning rods for this?
Stronger. That like it's just zooming through
Yeah.
and everyone's faster. Like they have so much energy and electricity. The ride just went into 2x. That's my dream. But yeah, it was really cool lightning storm that we had here. It was like literally hovering over. I live right by Hollywood Studios. It hovered over us for like an hour. And it was it looked like a strobe light in the sky legitimately for an hour, like nonstop lightning struck all around us. So it wasn't a surprise to me that something over there got struck. But the fact that it shut down a ride, I mean, they have to be correlated, right? I mean, does it have to be correlated? That's why they had the lightning rods, to disperse that energy and to hit so they can keep the park operating. I don't know. Are they correlated? I don't know.
But isn't that the thing about this ride is literally everything will take it down?
Yep.
Like, I feel like the wind could blow a little bit and it will go down for 3 hours.
You are not wrong.
Well, and
Which
is it correct?
begs the question, will it ever just work? Like, a serious question.
Yeah. Oh, it's a really good question.
I mean, define work. On Batu, it has been working.
I saw
Maybe
something
not the
today.
Earth
Will it
standard,
ever
but it's been working.
not go
It said
down
that
for 3 hours at a
100
time?
Yeah, it's 117 minutes to cycle through to get it started again. I mean, is that really accurate?
No,
That's what
We've been on a live
think-
stream with Tom where it went down for 30 minutes. That
Okay.
can't possibly be. I mean, maybe for a full cycle if they have to reboot the whole ride.
I've
but
been evac twice because
Yeah.
I knew they had to reboot it. But also, I know people who stayed on the ride, like you said, like Tom, who have stayed on for a reboot. I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe there's two different styles of reboot depending on what's going on.
Yeah, it might just be a partial reboot. Like only this one system went down, so we have to reboot that because there's so many different disjointed systems
Yeah,
in
that's
this
a good point.
ride.
Yeah,
you might be able
I
to get
mean-
away with a partial.
Part of the problem, though, is that what we wanted was a state-of-the-art, never been seen before attraction, right? And so, if that, I mean, that's going to be when you are blazing a trail. That is going to be an issue that you're going to have problems. Hagrid's, same thing. Hagrid's is an amazing attraction. It pushes the envelope for roller coasters with the launches and the backwards and everything. And when it first opened, I mean, it was down half the day every day just so they could fix it, right? So, I do think that there are going to be some bugs and things that they got to work out about it. That said, while it is a state-of-the-art attraction, all of the pieces seem to be pretty standard pieces. Trackless ride system that has existed in foreign parks for years, and the animatronics, and like I don't know what, like from a technical standpoint. I mean, I love the attraction. I think it's amazing, and the way everything works together. But it's one of those that if anything isn't working, I really think you got to shut it down. Like when Frozen Ever After was first opened, it had all kinds of problems because of the projection on the animatronics. And if Elsa doesn't have a face, you can't send people through there. So I don't know. I mean, it could be a million
I'm
different
putting my
things.
face on.
Literally.
All right, we got one last story, and it's what's going to happen to everybody on this show if we keep making terrible puns. We're going to get banished to the other side of Rafiki's Planet Watch. So, over an hour wait earlier this week for folks at Rafiki's Planet Watch due to the Wildlife Express train breaking down, and they had to take a bus back to the Animal Kingdom proper. Goodness gracious. As somebody in our internal Slack said, who was actually stuck on the other side of this, I could have just walked it in shorter than this. Like, why don't they have that as an option? My goodness.
You run
in
most
2
of it.
hours.
You used to run through Animal Kingdom for the 5Ks. You run along these tracks anyway, like, and that's where they drop them off.
There
Is
you
the
go.
part where you run the 5K backstage. So, like, legit, like, there's an area you could just walk this. I don't know. This train, to me, this is a non-story. Trains break down. It sucks you had to wait an hour and 10 minutes. I know Allie well. Like, she was texting me when it happened. This stinks, especially because this is the place you go just to, like, kill a little bit of time, but you don't want to kill 2 hours or 3 hours. That is way too much time, especially right now where you can't even do anything at Rafiki's Planet Watch. They probably should have told people that ahead of time. Hey, there's nothing to do there. Why are you going? You can't touch the animals. They can't do anything. You can't draw. There's nothing happening there right now. They should have given these people another free day admission just for going to Rafiki's Planet Watch during this whole COVID crisis. But again, things break down. It just stinks that this is so far away and it's such a production. This happens on a lot of rides. So surprised we made it as big of a story as we did. But I think the bigger issue here is we need to do something about this train or about Rafiki's Planet Watch in general. One or the other. We've speculated on Zootopia Land, or just making the train a better experience than just going along and watching old, signs. Watching the Lion King animated movie poster. Like, what? That happened when I was a kid. Like, come on.
It's just lazy. It really
Yeah,
is.
you know what though? First of all, I think the drawing's still happening, Pete, because we went up there at least when for opening week we were there, and they had the drawing classes happening.
It wasn't running when I was there my one day. It could be happening. I'm sorry.
But even that said, there's not really, there should be another way to get there. Like, yes, you want to do the experience where you take the train, and that's the right way to do it, so to speak. But there should be another way to do it. And I wonder if more people would go to Rafiki's Planet Watch if, to your point, it wasn't such a chore to get there and get back, because you've got to really kind of add in an hour to your day almost, because you've got to catch the train when it's going, you got to catch it when it's coming back, you got to hike to get out there. I mean, honestly, my dream is that it someday, and a lot of people would disagree with this, so I guess we can clarify this as a hot take, that there should be a Zootopia Land there, because there's a lot of real estate, not just what they're doing with the Rafiki's Planet Watch, but all of that stuff that was supposed to be Tiger River Run, where Kali River Rapids is, that was supposed to be twice as big. If you look at like a Google Earth, there's a ton of space there where you could make quite an impressive land in that area, and then be able to have like a Zootopia-style train. And in that case, I almost think to create an experience, just like the Hogwarts Express, you'd have to have the train to get there. But for what they have there should be a way to walk there and just litter it with shops, like carts and like drink carts and things all the way on your shop there, or on your walk there. People will buy things on the way, I guess. I mean, I think that there's got to be a secondary way to get there and get back, so that you can experience it and not have to waste a portion of your day, which is now even shorter because of the hours being cut.
Yep. Yeah, what a mess.
By the way, one quick thing.
Yeah?
On our website, on the story that we posted about the lightning, there is an embedded tweet that says Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. It's from WDW Stats. Has temporarily been interrupted. On average, an interruption takes 117 minutes. So maybe it's just an on average, but that is a literal number, because it's from at WDW Stats. I assume they have stats. I mean, I guess, I mean, it's in the game. I hope that they can back that up. But, I mean, just so, like, that is where I saw it on our site. Okay.
Thank you for that clarification. And thank you, folks, for watching. If you like the show, please give us a like. If you want to know more about if you want to know every time that we go live, please subscribe to us here on YouTube, and ring that bell so you get notified each and every time we go live. We have been going live from the parks at least once a day since they reopened. So stay tuned for all of that action, along with a whole bunch of other great live programming. Big shout out to all of our WIGs, our WDWNT Interglobe Interglobe Society subscribers. Sorry about that. You can join us over at patreon.com/WDWNT if you haven't already. For as little as $2 a month, you can help support this show and every other show that we make here, along with get access to our post shows for News Tonight when they come back, and a whole host of other benefits. So check that out if you have not yet. Unfortunately, there is no post show tonight, folks. Sorry about that. We've got a staff meeting coming up right after this. So we are going to cut the show here, and we will see you all next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
バンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバンバン
Ba-da-dum.
I don't know why I'm here. I shouldn't be here. We'll cut that out later.